Hey everybody, Cornfed Lady here. And now that fall is upon us, I'm going to take you back and show you what's been going on with our garden. So if you've been following our channel, then you already know this is the saddest our garden has looked all year. Of course it is fall now, so it's time to wrap things up. So this is where we had our carrots growing earlier this year, and I have just gotten finished digging them all up, and they're all in the house. The few that are left here were pretty rotten or eaten by something, so they didn't quite make it to the preserve station. Just beyond the carrots, we do have some leftover lettuce that has gone to seed. And today's project is actually to collect these seeds so that I can use them to grow more lettuce next year. Because if you'll remember, we did plant all heirloom varieties, and that means that we can save the seeds and they'll grow the exact same plants next year. Now you have to be careful if you have hybrid varieties, because the seeds will not be true to the mother plant, which means that if you take seeds from a hybrid variety, they will not necessarily grow the same type of plant as what you took them from. But again, ours are all heirlooms, so we're going to be collecting lettuce seeds today. And everything else in here has been finishing up too. Our kale is getting pretty old and pitiful looking, but I still have been pulling some of this for the animals to snack on each day. Now I'll not be able to save the kale seeds because they're a biennial, which means that they won't seed until their second year in the ground. But the issue with that is that we rearrange our garden every year, so these won't be able to stay in the same spot for 2 years. Our broccoli is also finishing up, and the same kind of story with that. I've just been pulling leaves of what's left to give to the animals. I know it's a little weedy, you know, life happens, and kind of got away from us. Now you can see we did take out the string here that we had the snap peas on, because they, of course, finished a long time ago. They're a cold weather plant. And these two trellises are where we had our beans, and they kind of got taken over by weeds and they just died off anyway. So what we've really been focused on lately are the peppers and tomatoes. And as you can see, there are some peppers growing in here, and I've been harvesting those and dehydrating them. If you haven't seen the dehydrating peppers video, make sure you go back and check that out. Again, we also do have some tomatoes still growing in here, but they're pretty well done at this point. And we're just kind of feeding what's left to the animals really at this point. And this is where we had our cucumbers. Of course, the cucumbers are done. You can see all the plants are dying back. And I have harvested all of these sunflowers now too. So this garden is pretty well wrapped up. And of course, we did the potato harvest already. And the corn patch out there is also empty. So again, it's fall and it's time to start wrapping things up. So what we're going to do is continue giving these things to the animals. And once everything is out of here except weeds, then we'll go ahead and mow this down and let it go back to grass like it was before we planted our garden. But today's focus is on saving these lettuce seeds. So let's go ahead and pull a couple of these dried ones out, and I'll show you how I do that. Now when you're collecting seeds, you want to try to find the driest plants that you can find so that the seeds are going to be the most mature. So I've picked some of the driest ones that we have, and I'll take the most mature seeds from them. Now I do have 3 different varieties of lettuce in here, and I'm not going to worry about keeping them separate because I already know that I like all 3 of these varieties, and they can just be mixed up in the garden next year. Okay, so I'm going to start by showing you with this super dry one how you can easily get the seeds off these lettuce plants. So when you look at the dried lettuce seeds, you'll see that they come in small pods, and if you pick those pods off, and I don't know how well the camera is going to show this because they're so tiny, but you can kind of pinch the bottom of the pod and then pull the seeds up out of the top. And your seeds should look like this. So they're very tiny, they're very delicate. They should not still have the little feather heads on them for when you're saving them. So here's one more. You can see the pod. Hopefully you can see the pod. And it has little white hairs on one end. You want to pinch the bottom end of that pod where it's connected to the plant and pull. And sometimes it'll just come off, and that's okay. You can still pinch the end of that pod open, and that will expose the seeds. Now once you see those seeds, you can just kind of push with your thumbnail and they'll come right out of the pod. So one more time, here's the pod. And you pinch it off. See the little white feather heads just came off? That means the seeds are still inside. So I'm going to take that pod off and pinch the seeds out. And there they are. Now you want to make sure to do this on a day that's not too windy like today, because otherwise your seeds will just blow all over and you'll have lettuce everywhere in the grass and nowhere in your garden. So as you can see, this is going to be a bit of a tedious process. So I'm going to finish doing the rest of these off camera, and y'all have a good day and make sure you're saving your heirloom seeds for next year. Thanks for watching. Make sure you're subscribed. Y'all have a good one.